Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History Treasure Hunters and Coin Lovers. You're in for a real treat today. We're diving into the history and hidden secrets of one of America's most iconic coins, a humble piece of copper that might just be sitting in your drawer, completely overlooked. That's right, we're talking about the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. Don't let its small size or familiar face fool you. This little coin has a big story to tell. Now, before you go brushing off every old penny you see, let me tell you why this particular one stands out in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny might look like any other coin that's passed through countless hands and pockets over the decades. But there's more to it than meets the eye. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, because one version of this coin has fetched a truly staggering sum at auction. Let's rewind time for a moment, back to the year 1957. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, the Cold War was in full swing, Elvis Presley was shaking up the music scene, and across the United States, these copper coins were rolling off the minting presses. The Lincoln wheat penny had already been in circulation for nearly half a century by then, having first been introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first American coin to feature a real person's portrait, and it quickly became a staple in the lives of millions. On the front of the coin, we see the iconic profile of President Lincoln, his gaze steady and calm. Along the top, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty." And to the right, the date, 1957. Now, here's where things get interesting. Just below the date, you might see a small letter, either a D or an S. That's the mint mark, indicating whether the coin was minted in Denver or San Francisco. While both mint marks are collectible, there's a growing fascination around certain Denver mint pennies from this year. Turn the coin over and you'll find the beautiful simplicity of the wheat ears design, two stalks curving inward from either side of the coin. At the top, the bold phrase, "E pluribus unum," which means, out of many, one. Beneath that, 1 cent, and below that, United States of America. These wheat ears, symbolic of growth and prosperity, were replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial design, making 1957 one of the final years of this classic look. Now you might be wondering, if so many of these pennies were made, why are collectors so eager to get their hands on one today? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and something every collector dreams about: minting errors. While billions of 1957 pennies were produced, only a small fraction remain in pristine, uncirculated condition. Fewer still were struck with unique variations or minting mistakes, like double die errors, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws. These oddities turn ordinary coins into rare treasures, and collectors are constantly on the hunt. Even without errors, some 1957 wheat pennies can be worth much more than face value if they're in mint state condition. Coins that have never been handled, that still shine with their original luster, and show no signs of wear, those are the gems. If your penny looks brand new, it might be worth sending it to a professional grading service. A high grade from an official coin grading agency can instantly multiply a coin's value. Now, let's talk about what makes a penny like this truly exceptional. Imagine finding one that's not only perfectly preserved, but also has a rare error, like a double die obverse or a die clash that makes the design appear ghosted or distorted. These unique errors, when combined with a strong grade and provenance, can skyrocket in value. Collectors and investors are willing to pay a premium for coins that are both historically significant and unusually rare. So what's the real value of a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark? In most cases, a circulated version might bring in a few cents to a few dollars. A well-kept, uncirculated example can reach into the tens or even hundreds. But here's the jaw-dropper: there is one recorded case where a particularly rare and flawless 1957 penny with a mint mark, combined with a sought-after error and graded at the highest level, sold for an astonishing $47,000. That's right, $47,000 for a single 1-cent coin. So before you toss that old jar of pennies in the corner or cash them in at a machine, take a closer look. That unassuming copper coin might just be hiding something extraordinary. And if you happen to find a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny with that perfect mix of rarity, error, and mint condition, you might be sitting on a small fortune. Today's video is all about a small but mighty piece of American history. It's a coin that millions of people have held in their hands, spent at stores, dropped into piggy banks, and passed down through generations, without ever knowing the incredible story it might hold. We're talking about the one and only 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, what could possibly be special about a penny from 1945? It was just 1 cent, made of copper, and circulated like any other. But stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how a single penny from that year has become a high-value collector's item. In fact, one of these tiny coins once sold for a jaw-dropping amount that might make you start searching through your own coin jar a little more carefully. To understand why the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is such an important piece, we need to take a step back in time, back to the final year of World War II. It was a year filled with both hardship and hope. America had been through years of rationing, sacrifice, and war efforts. Every piece of metal was precious. Coins were not just currency, they were tools, symbols of stability during uncertain times. The Lincoln wheat penny had already become a familiar sight by 1945. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first American coin to feature a real person. That simple yet powerful design, Lincoln's profile on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back, had become part of everyday life. Take a look at the front of the coin. There's Lincoln, facing right, with "In God We Trust" curved above his head. To his left, the word "Liberty." To the right, the date, 1945. Now look just below that date. If you see a small D or S, you're holding a coin minted in Denver or San Francisco. These little mint marks are a key detail for collectors, especially when it comes to determining value. While most 1945 wheat pennies came from the Philadelphia Mint and have no mark, the ones from Denver and San Francisco are often more desirable depending on their condition. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the familiar sight of those 2 graceful wheat ears curving along the edges. Between them, in bold letters, are the words 1 cent and United States of America. Just above, the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, out of many, one. It's a coin full of meaning, not just for its appearance, but for what it represents: unity, strength, and resilience during one of the most trying times in modern history. Now here's where things start to get exciting. While hundreds of millions of these pennies were minted in 1945, most have long since disappeared from circulation. They were spent, lost, melted down, or simply worn out by time. But a very small number survived in near-perfect condition, and some, believe it or not, were struck with rare minting errors. These errors, combined with top-tier condition, are what makes certain 1945 wheat pennies incredibly valuable. Imagine finding a coin that's been tucked away since the 1940s, untouched by time. The color still bright, the edges sharp, every letter and detail perfectly preserved. That's what collectors call mint state, and it's the holy grail for anyone serious about coin collecting. If your 1945 wheat penny has never been circulated and shows no signs of wear, you could be looking at something special, but there's more. Some pennies from 1945 were struck with oddities, double dies, off-center strikes, or coins accidentally minted on the wrong metal planchets. These kinds of errors are extremely rare and often missed by the untrained eye. Yet they can turn an ordinary-looking penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible that serious numismatists are willing to pay top dollar for. Over the years, collectors and auction houses have carefully searched for these rare examples. And every now and then, one is found, graded, authenticated, and sold to a lucky buyer who knows exactly what they're holding. These stories fuel the dreams of coin collectors everywhere, because it proves that treasure can still be hiding in plain sight. So, how much could a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark be worth today? Well, if it's a typical worn coin that's seen years of circulation, it might fetch a few cents to a few dollars at most. But if you're lucky enough to discover one in flawless condition, especially with a rare mint error, you could be holding a coin worth not just 100 or 1,000, but an incredible $57,000. That's right, $57,000 for a single 1-cent coin. Hard to believe? Maybe. But that's the magic of coin collecting. You never know what history, value, or rarity might be sitting in your palm. So take a second look at those old pennies. The next time you're going through your change or opening up an old family coin box, keep an eye out for the 1945 wheat penny. It might just change your life. Today, we're diving into the story of a coin that might be resting in an old drawer, hiding in a piggy bank, or quietly waiting in your collection to be rediscovered. It's a small, copper-colored piece of American history, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. Now, at first glance, this might seem like an ordinary penny. You've probably seen hundreds of them over the years without giving them a second thought. But what if I told you that one version of this humble coin has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike, not just for its age, but for its extraordinary value? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see just how valuable this penny can be. And trust me, it's a number you won't believe. Let's begin by stepping back to the year 1953. It was the dawn of a new era in America. The Second World War was behind us, the economy was booming, and Dwight D. Eisenhower had just become president. It was a time of optimism, rebuilding, and growth. During this time, the U.S. Mint continued producing the Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that had already been in circulation for over 4 decades. Originally introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The design of the 1953 wheat penny is classic and timeless. On the front, or obverse, we see the profile of Abraham Lincoln, facing to the right. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To his left, the word "Liberty," and to his right, the year, 1953. Just below the date, you might see a small letter. This is where it gets interesting. That letter could be a D for the Denver Mint or an S for the San Francisco Mint. These mint marks play a huge role in determining a coin's rarity and value. No mint mark at all? That means it came from the main mint in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the reverse design, 2 stylized wheat ears curving in from the left and right edges. Between them, in bold letters, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This simple but elegant design remained in use until 1958, making the 1953 issue part of the final chapter of the iconic wheat penny era. While hundreds of millions of these pennies were produced in 1953, most of them were used in everyday transactions, worn down through years of handling, pocket change, and circulation. What makes some of them valuable today isn't just their age, it's their condition, rarity, and in some rare cases, unique minting errors that occurred during production. Let's talk condition first. Coins that were never circulated, never dropped or scratched, and still shine with their original mint luster are known as mint state or uncirculated. These coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with the highest grades indicating perfect preservation. A 1953 wheat penny in mint state can already be worth much more than 1 cent, sometimes even hundreds of dollars depending on the grade. But there's more. Every now and then, a coin is struck incorrectly at the mint. These mint errors can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, or even coins minted on the wrong metal planchet. These flaws, while unintentional, are incredibly valuable to collectors because they make each error coin one of a kind. The 1953 wheat penny is no exception. There are known examples with doubling in the date or lettering, and some with striking misalignments. These error coins are especially rare and can command astonishing prices in the collector's market, but even among the rare, some coins are rarer than others. And this is where the true excitement begins. Imagine stumbling across a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a visible mint mark, let's say a crisp D for Denver, and that coin happens to be in flawless, mint state condition. No scratches, no wear, no signs of aging. Now imagine that same coin also contains a unique minting error, like a double die or a dramatic misstrike. This combination is the golden ticket, a perfect storm of preservation and rarity. When such a coin surfaces at auction, the bidding gets intense, and the final sale price can blow away all expectations. So here's the moment you've been waiting for. While a regular 1953 wheat penny might only be worth a few cents in circulated condition, and a mint state one could go for a few hundred or even a couple $1,000s, there is one special version of the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, flawless in condition, and bearing an extremely rare error, that sold for an unbelievable $63,000. That's right. $63,000 for a single 1-cent coin, hard to believe? Maybe. But that's exactly why coin collecting is such a fascinating journey. Because even the smallest piece of copper in your pocket might turn out to be a priceless artifact of American history. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a small but mighty coin that has captured the attention of collectors across the world, the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it might seem like just an ordinary copper coin. But hold on, because this humble 1-cent piece could be worth a jaw-dropping amount under the right circumstances. So grab your magnifying glass and your coin collection, because by the end of this video, you might just find out that you've been holding on to a hidden treasure all along. Let's begin with a bit of context. The Lincoln wheat penny, or Lincoln cent as it's formally called, was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first American coin to feature a real person rather than Lady Liberty, and it's remained a symbol of history, resilience, and American heritage ever since. The wheat penny, specifically, gets its name from the 2 wheat stalks on the reverse side of the coin, an elegant and humble tribute to the nation's agricultural strength. Now, fast forward to 1950, a time when the world was still recovering from World War II, and the United States was beginning its rise as a global superpower. Coin production was strong, but not all pennies were made equal. The 1950 Lincoln wheat penny was struck at 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify the mint where your coin was produced by looking just below the date. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. A small d means it was struck in Denver, and an S indicates the San Francisco mint. Each mint had its own quirks in production, and collectors know that mint marks can make a big difference in value, especially when we're talking about rarity and condition. Now let's talk design. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll see the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. This design has stood the test of time and remains a powerful representation of American ideals. On the reverse, the coin proudly displays the words, 1 cent, United States of America, and the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, flanked by those iconic wheat ears. But what sets some 1950 pennies apart from the rest? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, condition, and very specific minting errors. While most of these coins are still worth just face value in average circulated condition, the game completely changes when you stumble upon one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with rare features. For example, some 1950 wheat pennies exhibit striking errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or irregular metal compositions. These kinds of mistakes weren't meant to happen, which makes them incredibly appealing to collectors. Error coins are like lightning in a bottle, accidents that become treasures. Even more valuable is when these rare coins are certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. A coin graded MS 67 or higher is considered mint state, meaning it's as close to flawless as possible. These coins are incredibly hard to come by, and when they do surface, they can ignite a bidding war among collectors. But even beyond errors and grade, the market value of the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny has been climbing thanks to strong collector demand and nostalgia. Penny collectors, or cent enthusiasts as they're sometimes called, are always searching for that one rare coin that completes their collection. And the 1950 wheat penny, especially those with unique traits or flawless preservation, is a high-priority target. Now comes the most exciting part: what could your 1950 wheat penny actually be worth? Well, if you have a regular circulated coin, you might get a few cents to a couple of dollars. A nice uncirculated one could bring in anywhere from $20 to a few $100s, depending on the mint and condition. But, and this is what we've all been waiting for, if you happen to own a rare 1950 Lincoln wheat penny in superb, flawless mint state with a highly desirable error or a near-perfect grading, it could be worth as much as $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. Just imagine. What was once handed over to buy bubblegum or a bottle of soda in 1950 could now be a life-changing payday for the lucky collector. So, take another look at those old jars of pennies, dig through your family's coin collections, and check for that tiny date and mint mark. You never know what history, and value, might be hiding in plain sight. Today we're unraveling the story of one of the most fascinating pennies ever minted in the United States, the Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1954. You might be thinking, it's just a penny, but by the time this video ends, you'll never look at a 1-cent coin the same way again. Let's step back for a moment and set the stage. It's 1954, Dwight D. Eisenhower is president, the Cold War is in full swing, Elvis Presley is just beginning to shake up the music scene, and the United States is buzzing with post-war optimism. The American economy is growing, industries are booming, and everyday life is filled with progress. It was also a year that saw millions of Lincoln wheat pennies struck and sent into circulation, each one carrying not just monetary value, but a piece of American history. The Lincoln cent, first minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was revolutionary. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it broke with the traditional designs of Lady Liberty. From the very beginning, the Lincoln penny was more than money, it was a symbol of the American spirit. Now, the 1954 wheat penny comes in several versions, and which one you have makes all the difference. In that year, the coin was minted in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. If there's a small d under the date, it came from the Denver Mint, and an S stands for the San Francisco Mint. Each mint had different production numbers and quality standards, and over time, some coins have become much harder to find than others. Take a look at the front, or obverse, of the coin, and you'll see the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right. This design was created by Victor David Brenner and has become one of the most recognizable images on American currency. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, flanked by 2 wheat stalks, a design that gave this coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. And just above, you'll find the motto, E pluribus unum, reminding us of unity in diversity. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Although millions of these coins were produced in 1954, the true value comes down to condition, rarity, and the presence of minting errors. Most 1954 pennies are worth a few cents to maybe a couple of dollars. But some of them, well, some are in a league of their own. Let's talk about condition first. If your penny has been through decades of pocket change, it might be worn and tarnished. But if you find one in mint state, meaning it looks just as it did the day it was struck, you're already holding something special. Coins that have never been circulated and are graded highly by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch serious money, but what really sets the collectors buzzing are the rare errors. We're talking about things like double die obverse, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or even unusual metal composition. These errors happen during the minting process and were never meant to exist, which makes them incredibly desirable. They're like printing mistakes on postage stamps, flaws that turn into fortune. For example, a 1954 D penny with a double die obverse can show clear doubling in the date or lettering. That kind of rarity instantly boosts its value. And even rarer are coins that have all of these qualities combined: mint condition, rare mint mark, and an undeniable error. These coins are out there. They've been discovered in old jars, dusty attics, estate sales, and handed down through generations of families without anyone realizing their true value. So don't underestimate that old penny you've been keeping. It might just be the key to something much bigger than you imagined. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. What is the most that a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny can be worth? If you happen to be the lucky owner of a flawless, uncirculated 1954 penny with a rare mint error, verified by a top grading service, and in top-tier condition, that 1-cent piece could be worth as much as $85,000. Yes, you heard that. Correctly.so Go ahead, dig through those old coin jars, check your childhood collections, and ask your relatives if they've got any old pennies stashed away. Because what might look like ordinary copper could turn out to be an extraordinary discovery. If you found this video helpful or exciting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We've got more hidden treasures, rare coins, and unbelievable values coming your way. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on a story that could change your life. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting, coin collectors.